There's something about her. The way she looks at you, the way she speaks, the things she chooses to share. It's different. It's not just casual conversation or mindless chatter. It's something deeper, something real. And whether you realize it or not, this is the moment that separates you from the rest. The moment she begins to share a part of herself with you that no other man has seen. And if you don't understand what this means, you might just miss it. Most men will never see this side of her. They will only know the surface-level version, the mask she wears to navigate the world. They will get the polite smiles, the generic responses, and the empty small talk. But you? If she shares something sacred with you, something that makes her vulnerable, you are different. Not just to her, but in the way you carry yourself, in the way you move through life. And this is the essence of Stoic mastery. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." You do not demand respect, you command it. You do not chase her secrets, you create the space where she feels safe enough to give them to you. And when she does, it is not an accident. It is a reflection of who you are. Imagine this. She has been conditioned by the world to be guarded. Every disappointment, every betrayal, every time someone dismissed her thoughts, it built a wall. She learned that not every man is worthy of knowing her truth. And so, she keeps it locked away, waiting, hoping for someone who won't just hear, but who will listen, who won't just see, but who will understand. And then you enter her life. You don't push, you don't pry, you simply exist in a way that radiates depth. Your presence alone makes her want to share, to unfold, to reveal. She tells you about the things that keep her up at night, the fears she buries, the dreams she barely dares to speak out loud. She speaks of childhood memories, the pain she's carried, the moments that shaped her soul. And in that moment, she is not just talking. She is offering you something sacred, something few will ever receive. Most men think attraction is about looks, status, wealth. And while those things have their place, true connection, true respect, is built in the unseen. It's in the energy you carry, the way you hold yourself, the unwavering calmness that makes her feel that no matter what she says, she will not be judged. She will be heard. Epictetus taught that we should not seek to control others, only ourselves. And this is the paradox of true power. The less you try to force her to open up, the more naturally she will. The less you seek validation, the more she will respect you. You do not ask to be different from other men. You simply are. And she can feel it. Think of a great river. It does not beg the trees to bend towards it. It does not chase the rain. It simply flows, strong and steady, and all things are drawn to it. This is the energy of a Stoic man. He does not persuade. He embodies. And in his presence, others find themselves opening up, not because they are asked to, but because they feel compelled to. But be warned, when she shares with you, when she gives you that rare glimpse into her soul, it is not something to take lightly. This is not a game. It is not a tactic. It is a responsibility. Because the way you respond in that moment determines everything. Will you be like the others, careless, dismissive, quick to move on? Or will you honor the trust she has placed in you? Will you hold space for her without seeking to fix, without seeking to gain, but simply to understand? Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And this is true for her as well. Most of her fears, her doubts, her insecurities, they exist in the mind. And when she shares them, she is not looking for you to solve them. She is looking for the one thing most men cannot give, presence. A man who is truly present is a rare thing. In a world full of distractions, of men who check their phones, who drift off, who are only half listening, the one who is truly there in the moment becomes unforgettable. She will remember not just your words, but how she felt in your presence. The peace, the stillness, the certainty. And once she has experienced this, no other man will feel quite the same. You see, the reason she shares with you is not because you asked the right question, or because you impressed her, or because you convinced her. It is because your energy is undeniable. You are not just another man. You are the man who understands that true power is not in chasing, but in becoming. There's something about her. The way she looks at you, the way she speaks, the things she chooses to share. It's different. It's not just casual conversation or mindless chatter. It's something deeper, something real, and whether you realize it or not, this is the moment that separates you from the rest. The moment she begins to share a part of herself with you that no other man has seen. And if you don't understand what this means, you might just miss it. Most men will never see this side of her. They will only know the surface-level version, the mask she wears to navigate the world. They will get the polite smiles, the generic responses, and the empty small talk. But you, if she shares something sacred with you, something that makes her vulnerable, you are different. Not just to her, but in the way you carry yourself, in the way you move through life. And this is the essence of Stoic mastery. What if I told you that this moment, this sacred exchange, was not some random act, but a reflection of who you are at your core? That the very fact that she chose you, of all men, to reveal this part of her is not a coincidence. It's a manifestation of the energy you exude. This is not something every man can claim. This is not something most men will ever experience. Why? Because the majority of men are chasing validation, constantly trying to prove their worth, constantly searching for ways to impress. They are caught up in the superficial game of attraction, thinking it's about looks, wealth, or status. But true attraction, the one that forms a deep and meaningful connection, goes beyond these shallow elements. It resides in the unseen, an energy that transcends the material world. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." These words hold the key to the path you are on, the path of self-mastery. The Stoic path does not require you to seek validation or approval from the outside world. It doesn't require you to chase anyone's affection or admiration. No, it demands that you focus inward, that you work on becoming the best version of yourself, to become so centered, so composed, that others cannot help but be drawn to you. It is through this inner transformation that the sacred exchange occurs. When a woman opens herself to you, shares her most vulnerable moments, and exposes the parts of her that she has locked away for years. This is not a trivial exchange. It is a reflection of who you are, of how you carry yourself, and of how you make her feel. You do not demand her secrets. You do not pry or push for more. You create the space where she feels safe enough to offer them to you. Imagine for a moment the life she has lived up to this point. She has been hurt, disappointed, betrayed. She has been conditioned by the world to be guarded, to protect herself, to never fully trust anyone again. The mask she wears is not her true self. It is a defense mechanism. Every time someone dismissed her thoughts, belittled her feelings, or took her trust for granted, it built a wall around her heart. She learned to expect little from men. She learned to never show her true self, lest she be hurt again. But when you enter her life, everything changes. You don't push, you don't force her to open up. Instead, you simply exist. You radiate depth, calmness, and understanding. Your presence alone makes her feel safe, and it is within this space of safety that she begins to unravel. She tells you about the things that keep her awake at night, the childhood memories that still haunt her, the pain she carries that no one else understands. She opens up to you in a way she has never done with anyone else, sharing things that have been hidden deep within her heart for years. And in that moment, you must realize that this is not an accident. This is not a trivial interaction. This is a sacred exchange. She is offering you a piece of her soul, something few men will ever receive, and it is your responsibility to honor it. Now, it is crucial that you understand this. Attraction is not about looks, wealth, or status. Yes, those things can play a role in initial attraction, but they are not what sustain deep connections. The true foundation of respect, of real attraction, lies in the unseen. It is in the energy you exude. It is in the way you hold yourself, the way you listen, the way you speak, and most importantly, the way you are. It is in the calm assurance that comes from knowing who you are and what you stand for. Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, taught that we should not seek to control others, but only ourselves. This principle is at the heart of true power. When you stop trying to manipulate situations or people, when you cease chasing validation and start living according to your own values, the energy you project shifts. You become magnetic, not because you try to be, but because your self-mastery radiates outward. Think of the great river that flows through the valley. It does not beg the trees to bend toward it. It does not chase after the rain. It simply flows, strong and steady, carving its own path through the land. The trees, the rocks, the earth. Everything is drawn to the river because of its unwavering presence and power. This is the energy of a Stoic man. He does not need to persuade, to chase, or to convince. He simply embodies the power of self-mastery, and in his presence, others are drawn to him naturally. But let me make one thing clear. This power, this ability to draw others to you, is not to be used recklessly. It is not a tool to be wielded for manipulation or control. When a woman shares something sacred with you, when she allows you into her most vulnerable space, this is not something to be taken lightly. It is a trust. It is an honor. And how you respond in that moment will determine everything. Will you be like the other men, dismissive, careless, quick to move on to the next topic? Or will you honor the trust she has placed in you? Will you hold space for her without seeking to fix her, without seeking to gain something from her, but simply to understand? This is where most men falter. They mistake this sacred moment for an opportunity to solve problems or offer advice. But this is not what she needs. What she needs is someone who is simply present, someone who can listen without judgment, someone who can be there without the need to do anything. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." This is a truth that applies to her as much as it does to you. Most of her fears, her insecurities, her doubts, they exist in her mind, not in the reality of the moment. And when she shares them with you, she is not looking for you to solve them. She is looking for presence. She is looking for someone who will listen, who will hear her without rushing to conclusions, someone who will hold her in her pain without judgment. This is the rarest of qualities. In a world filled with distractions, with men who are always half listening, distracted by their phones, their thoughts, or their own egos, the man who is truly present is unforgettable. And in your presence, she will not just remember what you said. She will remember how she felt. She will remember the peace, the stillness, and the certainty that you embodied. And once she has experienced this, once she has felt the power of your presence, no other man will ever feel quite the same. You see, the reason she shares with you is not because you asked the right question or because you impressed her with your words. It is because your energy is undeniable. You are not like every other man. You are the man who understands that true power is not in chasing what you want, but in becoming the person who naturally draws what you seek. And once you become this man, something profound happens. Women will see you differently. They will feel differently in your presence. But it's not just women. The world itself will shift. People will take notice of the quiet confidence you carry. You will move with a grace and composure that makes heads turn, not because you are seeking attention, but because you have mastered the rarest skill of all: self-mastery. This is the path of the Stoic, the path of true power. It is the path that does not require force or manipulation. It is the path of becoming. And when you walk it, you will find that the world becomes a different place. Relationships will deepen, connections will strengthen, and you will never again need to chase respect or validation. It will follow you, drawn to the quiet strength of your presence. This is Stoic venture, and if you walk this path, you will never be the same.